Hello, and welcome to the Consider Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Eric King, and along with my co host, Mino Pachan, we're here to talk about all things mental health. Let's get into it.
All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Consider Your Mind podcast, episode 23.
Jordan!
Just chucking along, man.
For real,
Just doing
23.
it. Yeah, man. Last week our episode was just covering a little bit of schizophrenia and psychosis. So definitely an interesting listen to. Obviously, we'll be touching back on similar topics as we roll on in the future, but we touched a little bit on it. If you definitely missed that episode and want to give it a listen, go ahead and feel free to go check that out.
For real. A lot of good information.
Oh yeah, lots. And this week we'll be talking about, well, narcissism.
The N word.
It's pretty interesting thing. You know, you hear it tossed around a lot, like, oh, you're just being narcissistic and all this and that. But what does it really mean?
Yeah.
What's really behind it all? Is it really all a bad thing? Good thing? But, you know, I know you've been looking forward to doing this episode, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about it, man.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. We're kind of continuing the theme of, misunderstood things. Touching last week was schizophrenia and psychosis, the stigma that's behind that. And, just using words like, bipolar, depressed, all these things that we just kind of throw out there. Well, narcissism is definitely one of them. Narcissist is like the buzzword. That's like, you just call somebody that when you don't like them. At this point, how many girls say, "Oh, my ex was such a narcissist." Why'd y'all break up? Narcissist. People just really throw it out there, and so it got me thinking, okay, what does this actually really mean? And it got me doing a little bit of research, and I ran into this lady named Dr. Ramani Durvasula, I believe it's called. And she had, millions of views on some videos talking about narcissism from like 3 years ago. And one of the titles that really stood out to me was "Why Narcissism is the Secondhand Smoke of Mental Health." I was like, okay, secondhand smoke. We all kind of know that, one of the reasons smoking is bad is because it doesn't just affect you, it affects others around you. People that don't even smoke, if they're around other smokers, they can get cancer and things like that. So being around narcissism, being around narcissists, it can, affect you negatively too. It can rub off on you, but also negatively affect, your life. So without further delay, narcissism is, kind of briefly defined as personality qualities including very high, thinking very highly of oneself, needing admiration, believing others are inferior, and a lack of empathy for others. And that's kind of what I found. Like when you think of narcissism, like that's one end of the coin. The opposite of narcissism is empathy. Somebody who's really empathetic. A narcissist is not an agreeable person. Basically, if somebody's described as agreeable, that's pretty much the opposite of what a narcissist is. And so that kind of helped, me to frame it and to really make the difference between we call somebody a narcissist or actually being diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. Those are two different things. NPD and just being a narcissist, are two different things. And, currently like only 1 to 3% of people are diagnosed with NPD. But here's the catch, like that doesn't mean that's all the people that have it. That just means in order to get a diagnosis, you have to actually go to a doctor, go to a therapist, to be getting help for, either narcissism or something else, maybe depression, maybe some other addiction or whatever it is. And then throughout that time, then you can get treatment for your narcissism. But it takes a diagnosis. You actually have to be going to seek treatment. And so it's underdiagnosed because if a person's a narcissist, that personality, that quality lends itself to not getting help, thinking you're better than other folks, thinking that you know it all, It's the very thing that's going to keep you from getting the help that you need. So it's something that, the society is not helping, it promotes narcissism to us. And so, but narcissistic personality disorder, the actual disorder itself, is one of several types of personality disorders. It's a mental condition in which people have an inflated sense of their own importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others.
So are they seeking for that attention, or they just believe like I'm the best?
Interestingly enough, one things that I learned, from this is that at the root of narcissism, at the core of it is insecurity. The core of narcissism is insecurity because it's this needing validation from outside. They don't have a good sense of self, and so they need validation for the world to tell them, who they are. And so
like you're so good, like that type of thing. That's a
yeah,
weird
yeah.
thing too, because then it feels like everybody has a little bit of that in
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
'Cause to me,
exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
it does feel good to be like, hey man, you're doing a good job, and you want to hear that. You might not say it out loud, but it's like, I put in a lot of work. I feel like someone should say, hey, or at least notice it. Like if you're actually doing a good job, like, hey, you're doing a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
job.
Everybody wants to be
Feels good.
recognized. Everybody wants to feel special. But here's the thing, like a narcissist would be that person that will volunteer, at an event or whatever, but tell everybody about it.
Oh,
You
we
know.
know them.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So that's one type of narcissism. We'll get in there. There's a few different types, but it's one of those people. They're hashtag save the whales every chance they get. But all of a sudden, but in the people in their inner life, actually, they're really mean to. So it's just again things I've learned. It's different personality patterns. So narcissism itself, again, it's just a set of personality traits. That are narcissistic. However, in order to get a whole diagnosis, NPD, so that would actually take somebody actually, working with a therapist to get an actual diagnosis of that, which again is underdiagnosed. So it's 1 to 3%. But hey, man, it's probably more like probably 10 to 15%. Something like that. But it's hard to measure, because they got to seek the help.
It's interesting because it seems like, based on what it is at, the base level of it, I guess you could say, it's like everyone is like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I guess to be diagnosed with it, I guess to be
Yeah,
to
there's
the extreme.
there you go. It has to be on the spectrum because there's 7, a little over 7, but at least 7 kind of characteristics or key characteristics that you have to have in order to be diagnosed. Or sorry, 9. So there's 9 of them, and you have to be diagnosed with at least 5. And so, you have to, again, it's characterized. Number 1, this is the most important thing. Again, when you think of narcissism, think empathy, because it's the exact opposite. There's a lack of empathy there. That's a requirement of it. So you have to, and again, empathy is defined as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. So
Is
a
that what empaths
narcissist.
are? Is that what empaths are?
Yeah, people who are empaths, that extreme, they're always feeling others. Now, again, the other extreme of that is not, a narcissist will use, people instead of feeling what they feel and feeling, sorry or anything like that. It can be borderline psychopathic, and they can do something, and the ends will always justify the means.
About it. And not really
Yeah,
care.
not care. Exactly. They can really, there's no guilt there. That's what I'm saying. There's no guilt, man. That's a psychopath. That's a whole nother discussion. But these, most people at least feel bad. But so there's the lack of empathy, and then entitlement, a sense of entitlement, that they're owed, things. A grandiosity, a sense of, outside self-importance. So again, it's always a good thing to have a good self-esteem. But in terms of grandiosity, that's, people who think they're, God's gift to the earth, and just have this unrealistic expectation of, again, who they are. We see it a lot, again, with celebrities and stuff like that. It's promoted
Like
for
The
them
Rock.
to actually do that. You know what I'm
The
saying?
Rock
Yeah.
is perfect for it.
Yeah. And then again,
Rock.
superficiality. You know what I'm saying, and the kind of to the detriment of other people's good. You know what I'm saying? So you really can't. You're so superficial. You can't get past the exterior. Everything is. You never get deeper. There's never an emotional thing to anything. Then chronic seeking of admiration and validation. Again, narcissism is rooted in insecurity at the end of the day. So they're always seeking validation, always, trying to get admiration in things from other people. They want people to see the good job that they did. They're not content with just go ahead and feed the homeless. No, they got to tell you about it. They got to let you know. They So it's just
Make
that.
sure that they're doing the good.
Exactly,
Like,
exactly.
it's like, did you see me? You see me?
Yeah, you see me?
I
Look
just
what I
did
mean.
that.
Look
You
at
see
me.
me?
You know what I'm saying? Look at me. And also, number 6, a tendency to rage. They can get very frustrated when you're looking for all that validation and attention seeking. That gets you can be very angry. One thing that was said that was really important was when we need someone, we resent them. You know, that's like when we need somebody when we're teenagers and stuff, adolescent or whatever, we resent our parents and we're mad that we actually need them so much. You know what I'm saying? So if you're a person, if you're a narcissist, you need the validation and the applause from others to tell you're doing a good job so much. And so you resent that, that resentment because you need it so much. You end up hating the world because you need the world so much to tell you you're doing a good job. So yeah, man. Again, an arrogance. And I'm better than you, and a devaluation of people. You know, I got more money than you, so you don't matter. I'm this and you're that. Listen to class type of things. They truly believe.
I'm thinking about what you're saying with that, with narcissism, and it's like you think of movie characters or just characters in general that we portray in the media. A lot of people kind of gravitate towards that.
Here you
Like they
go.
think, you're like, you know what? You should smile because I'm in your presence. Take this all in.
Aren't you happy?
And it's funny, and it's like it's funny sometimes. Obviously, when you see it in the movie, but
Yeah.
it's just hilarious to me because sometimes when you're feeling, just goofy or whatever, just you're on the,
Don't you know
having
who
fun.
I am?
Yeah,
Type of
you
thing.
start
Yeah.
saying things that would be like, yo, that's kind of funny, but
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, just something outlandish, like The Rock.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. To play a character of it. There's a whole difference between being self-aware to play a character of a person and to go to the extremes or whatever. But if you're a narcissist, you don't like. Here's the thing: no one's a narcissist to one person and nobody else. You know what I'm saying? No, not in one situation. No, the whole thing is it bleeds into pretty much that's how they are. And it starts from and it can really start from a young age. That lack of support, or like that lack of emotional mirroring from the parent, not giving them validation. Whether the parent's just absent, non-attentive, or maybe it has an addiction. So that child doesn't really get the validation and the emotional mirroring that it needs, when you're a child, and so that transfers into adulthood. They're always seeking that.
That's
Yeah,
wild.
man. Yeah, it's real stuff,
And
man.
it's really shocking when you really see it. It's like,
Exactly.
Damn,
What
did he
you
just
think?
say that?
Yeah.
Does he really believe that?
Yeah, exactly. You think people
that's
playing a
wild.
character, but no, And then so there's some other ones. Jealousy, manipulation, exploitation of others. That's a characteristic. Envious, always looking at what others got. Because you got to compare yourself to other people. So gaslighting. If you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it's so bad because that's a terrible place to be, because that person will gaslight you or have projection. They'll accuse you of doing the things that they're doing. You know,
We all know
they're the
people like
ones
that.
cheating and going out there doing cheating and all that other stuff. But they're telling you, they're trying to accusing you of doing it. Or they're
That's wild.
or get gaslighting you, pretending like no, that didn't happen. And that's the powerful when I was reading this, I was like, man, see, this is why you got to be careful who you live with, your relationships with, because that person, if you're around them all day, every day, they can really make you think, that you lost your mind. Like that's not happening. Something could be happening to you, but that other person isn't validating your emotions, and so it makes you doubt, yourself. So. Anybody who's in a relationship with a narcissist or person with narcissistic characteristic, couples therapy is always encouraged. But again, you have to be careful with that, because even if they
What would
agree
be
to
an
it,
example? What would be an example of someone being narcissistic in a relationship? So
um,
just so people can get like a better understanding, like something simple.
oh, okay. Well, like if you're narcissistic in a relationship, and again, I didn't go too deep into this part of it because that's a whole another rabbit hole. She got a million, like 10 million views on that. What if you're in a relationship with a narcissist? But the main thing again, it would be a whole lot of again gaslighting and projection. They're going to make you think that this isn't really happening to you. And then one other thing, they're going to be very ungrateful. You're going to be in a situation where even if you try to help that person, they're going to be, you'll get stuck in this loop. Well, if I can just do this right, they'll love me. Well, if I can just do this right, they'll act right. It's my fault. I know I messed up on it. Like, that can get you into this loop of always trying to seek their validation, because again, they're seeking validation from the world all the time, and so they can get you in a loop of now you're seeking their validation, all the time. And again, and another to the extreme, if you see people in toxic relationships, is they start to isolate that person from other people in their life. Abusive relationships, can be like that, where they start to, you're not allowed to hang around certain friends or family members, and so you're isolated. So now that person, becomes more of your world and can control you. So that's, because at the end of the day, they're trying to use a person to manipulate them. They don't have empathy. They can't feel, they're not feeling what you're feeling. They don't go to that level. So a lot of people may seek help for narcissism because they're having trouble in relationships, to keep it 1,000 with you. One of my things that I wanted to improve through therapy was empathy. So I felt a lot, when I was reading this stuff. I was like, wow, listening to this stuff. I'm like, you know what? I felt myself checking out so much, being distant, not being empathetic and being able to feel my partner. I was like, okay, So I went and seek help. A narcissist would think feelings are useless. That's a weak thing, you know? Like, you know what I'm saying? For real. They think, and again, it's promoted. It's more common in men than women, because it's something that, again, feelings and empathy, the opposite of narcissism. If you're an empathetic person, that would shield you from this. But the world does not encourage that, particularly in men and boys. You know, empathy isn't encouraged. So we see a lot of people who are narcissists, man, are highly successful people. Let's keep it a whole thousand. You know, these are, CEOs. These are perhaps presidents. These are perhaps, again, leaders. Those characteristics. And, these are people that get TV shows, for being, Gordon Ramsay and stuff like that. Not to say he's a narcissist, but again, those traits are you could just, characterize by anger, no empathy, Simon Cowell, think of that. With American Idol.
Those two need to get together. Simon Cowell,
you know what I'm saying?
Ramsey.
Like, but what was it? What was so great about it was like it was a straight like just lack of empathy, whatever. Now it's cool if that's a character that you're playing. It's entertaining, but that's a real that can ruin people's relationships, man. So, but another way to think about it too is just like it affects your identity. If you want to spot, somebody who, ask yourself, am I a narcissist? But if you're a narcissist, you probably won't ask yourself that. But, another way to think of it too is like 4 areas of a life that's affected. So identity, goal setting, empathy, and intimacy. You'll see like with people's identity of themselves is all caught up in how others view them. And that's a very terrifying feeling. You always have to be on, always have to be made up, always have to, and again, Instagram culture, all that type of stuff. Got to be perfect all the time. And so, caught up in the way other people's, your identity. So you don't have a you're not a very self-governed individual. Don't control your emotions well. For as far as your goal setting, a person who's a narcissist, they're going to set goals that are going to get them the attention that they want at the end of the day. It's not about doing your best. It's not, any of that. It's like I'm going to set a goal so high and so lofty to just get attention for the goal I'm about to set without actually having to reach it, or set a goal so low that you'll get it, and so you get the pat on the back, So the way that they even view goals in life and things like that, it's also to get attention, also to get a good reaction people and to get validation. And then again, of course, number 3, again, the E word, we're saying it again, lack of empathy. They look at people as serving their needs. This is the type of people, it's not like they're mean jerks to everybody. If you can do something for them, they're very nice to you. If you can put them in a position, get them in the right circles, it's a good look for you, you're good looking enough or whatever, they'll be very nice to you. But it serves their interest. And then, so as you imagine, it's so intimacy. They're not good with emotions, not good in relationships. Things are superficial. They can talk to you all day long about all the things that they have and all the things that they've achieved and, all this goals that they have and all this altruistic stuff, whatever, make themselves, feel better and get a good reaction from folks. But if you actually want to talk about how they're feeling, that's when it's a problem. That's, when it's time to change the subject. So, there's just, ways to identify, areas in people's life. And I know, again, as I was reading off this stuff, had some characteristics myself. I don't have, I think in 5 of the 9 consistently, I don't think, to, diagnose me. But it's something honestly, my next therapy session, I'm going to actually ask my, therapist about that. My narcissistic traits that I do have.
How would, for me, right, so I'm trying to think, get a better understanding of it. How would anger play in a role of being a narcissistic person?
Mm-hmm.
Like for instance, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very emotional person, and
Mm-hmm.
when things are firing up or heating up, whether it's a conversation or confrontation or something,
Mm-hmm.
I feel my body start. The best way to describe it is to like boiling water.
I know what you're saying. You heat up.
Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm starting to heat up, and then what goes on in my mind at that time is things that are like, let's just say, gory, pain
Mm-hmm.
that I want to put and force onto the person in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I don't act it out, but a lot of people say, "Oh, I just think about I go red and I just want to fight him." No,
Yeah, everything goes red type of thing.
Mine doesn't go red. It becomes very vivid,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I want to hurt this person so bad.
All of a sudden, you become very clear about your
about what I want to do.
intentions. Yep,
Like my thing is
focused.
like I want to be able to get them to the point where the last heartbeat almost happens, and bring them back just to do it all over again.
Man,
You know, like
let me tell you.
that's how it goes in my head, because in my mind when like people always, because you get annoyed at people always gossiping, talking trash. You know, like you're always talking. What's the one thing that you can do to make someone not talk forever? So that's where my mind would go to when you talk smack. I don't want to hear it anymore. I want you to be silenced. You know, whether that means you're dead, cool. I don't have to hear
Whatever
it
I have to do.
yeah, but you know,
to
but
make
that's
sure.
going on in my mind when I'm thinking that, and I'm looking at this person straight in the face, and I'm starting to tear up because I feel like I might do that, and I don't want to.
See, there
You
you
know,
go.
like,
You're not a psychopath, bro.
Right. So I'm happy because for the longest time, bro, I was thinking that's what I would. Because why would I get so mad to the point where I'm visualizing how I want this person to feel?
Man, I'm
And
telling you, we
it's-
surprise ourselves. I think me and you, I've felt that way more recent than I'd like to admit. Personal situations that I've been going through. Things in the kind of the background. And honestly, thank God for therapy, so I get to say some stuff out loud that I probably should not say. To anybody else that I'm
Right,
not
'cause,
paying good money for confidentiality. Because some thoughts that, again, because it's out of character, things that you never think about. You never think about, that level of violence to another person or whatever. But all of a sudden, now it's there, and you're like, whoa, this isn't you, but it's taking over. I remember it was great gym fuel. Sometimes I remember I get to the gym, and my
that's the
mind is
best.
just, I look in the mirror like I'm about to go out there, and I don't even recognize myself. I was so angry.
Oh, you amp
You
yourself
know?
up like that, and then I look at myself and I say, "Damn, I'm kind of sexy today."
No. I'm just
I'm
talking about
like-
like I would go through. I'd be like, I'd be at work or something, and all of a sudden, bam, it would pop in my mind the situation, and I would get so angry, and then start thinking about that person, that relationship, all this stuff, and and then, but so my mind is like a loop, and now all of a sudden the regular thought patterns and the thing that I usually think on a regular everyday basis, now those are going away. Why am I been thinking about this violent thing for so long? That ain't even me.
Right.
But it's real. Like we got to work through those things and figure out kind of where that comes from and not be afraid of it. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it keep it real. You got to get through those times.
For the longest time in my life, I literally thought I was crazy because why would I? I mean, it wasn't like every day, but it was just a moment that when someone pissed me off, we about to fight, and there's been a couple times.
You think all low blows,
and all of them is like it's not even just low blows, bro. It's like I wanna beat you so bad to make your parents think like, damn, did I raise that piece of whatever that someone did this. Like
make
that's
your
the kind
mama
of thing-
feel it. They say beat you
Yeah.
so bad your mama feel
and
it.
and what's scary is that a couple times growing up when I got in fights, it did get to that point, where I could have killed someone with my hands, and it was like it's weird, but it's like my mind would see it so vividly, and I'd be close to doing it. I would cry at the same time because I feel like, if I don't stop or snap out of it, I'm not gonna be liking where my life is gonna go after this.
Yeah, my mama didn't raise me like this.
And it's like it's different when it's like. Because even as my friends growing up, we're like, oh, he just smacked him in the face. I'm like, no, forget smacking him, break his arm, bend it the other way. Make sure he's like,
Man, see, you go
my
Mortal
thing will go
Kombat
through that.
finish.
Yeah, pretty much, like straight up
You know,
fatality. Even like, I would get so
For
amped
real.
up, even watching like sports games. I remember I get so hyped, like, okay, for instance, I'm a diehard Vikings fan, right? The reason why I don't go to games is because I'm afraid I'll be in jail that same night. And it's like, because that's
Super
the thing,
fan.
I don't trust myself to be like, because I'm so I'm so for my team,
Yeah.
but it was
you can't
different
take a
because
last second loss. You wouldn't be okay. The other
bro.
team, the little section cheering.
Yeah, like it'll be like if I hit when we let's take it back to the Saints and the Vikings game. Right?
Oh, man,
when I
see?
found out about the bounty, I was like, man, they better watch out before the bounty gets on the people and their family. Like
Just went
that's
there
how I
with it.
feel.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
Dino.
just straight up. It's always to the extreme. Like I always, the first thing I bumped to is first extreme. It'd be on the opposite end too, like with mental health. It'd be like, oh, my heart's beating, I'm gonna die. Oh,
Yeah.
my heart's beating, I'm gonna have a heart attack. Like,
Yeah,
and it was just
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's always thinking the worst case scenario was gonna happen, and I think it stemmed from my anger would skyrocket so fast, 0 to 100 in a second. And I'm thinking and seeing all these things I want to do, but then at the same time, it's like, calm down. It's not that serious because it really is not. And I mean, 99% of the time, I win those battles, obviously. But it's like the other, whatever. Like I'm so scared that, But at the end of the day, to me now, I'm getting older. It's a lot of energy. And to me, I
Absolutely,
get
it's a
mad.
lot of energy to be angry, boy.
Yeah, I get mad, and I get mad because I'm wasting energy. I'm too tired for this.
That's that
pretty
young
much.
man stuff. They just be fighting everybody
Yeah.
just cause.
You know,
No, man. But you know what? Think of it like this. It's kind of like, you've heard the analogy of the frog in the boiling water. Like
I
if you put a
believe so.
frog, yeah, if you put a frog in some water, let it start, heat. It'll heat up and heat up. It'll stay in there, until it boils over. However, if it was boiling already and you threw a frog in there, of course it's gonna jump out. But if you just leave it and it's there to acclimate its body, it'll stay there until it dies and boils over. And so, like, again, that boiling that we feel, hey man, that's good that you feel that. You feel like, hey, something is wrong. There's a check there, an internal type of, thing that comes in is to know that this is wrong. And so if you have a certain amount of narcissistic traits and characteristics, NPD, diagnosis, there may not be that governor. You really may just think, yeah, man, I used to think about murdering this guy's mom. By drowning her specifically, and be like, what? Just matter of fact, it wouldn't even, instead of, man, back in the day I felt, I thought some things I'm ashamed of. That's a whole different, same reality, same thing maybe going on in your head. But in terms of your reaction, to that, that's different.
Right. I mean, if anybody's ever felt that way, make sure I'm not the crazy one, like for real. Let us know if y'all ever felt that. Like, get so mad where it's like, right now, if someone got shot, I wouldn't care. I'd smile because he got shot. That's how pissed I was.
Just be
mad.
Person.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for real.
But it's like, at the same time, if that was any other situation, someone gets shot, I'm going to make sure to try to do what I can to help them survive and someone gets some help. But if I'm in the middle of an argument and I'm pissed at you and you got shot in front of me, I'd piss on you and walk away.
That's right. Wouldn't piss on you if you're on fire. And again, that's very specific, man. That's very normal. Like I said, if you have a disorder, NPD or something like that, then you're applying that everywhere. You letting the world die. F everybody, if it's not serving your needs. So, you can be but you can be mad at somebody, very much so. It can be real specific.
The only thing like legit pisses me off now is if people mess with people I care about, and that's just my family.
That's real.
It. But other than that, I really don't get mad. Like someone crashed into my car when I got in my car. I was like, oh man, that's unfortunate. You okay? Let me get your insurance. Go about it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And I have other people getting mad for me over things. Like, why are you mad at that? It's just a video game. Or it's whatever. I understand you're mad, but it's like, it's material things, man.
See, there you go. See, so you're not focused on the superficial, the artificial, the stuff that just kind of goes away. There's bigger things in that, man. So that's very non-narcissistic, of you. Because here's the thing. Here's another famous line of a narcissist. This is the narcissist mantra. I'm sorry you feel that way. Somebody's apologizing. They'll really, what? I'm sorry you feel that way. That is that's that toxic right there. That's the mantra of the narcissist.
But that's so smooth, though.
I know, right?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that you feel bad. like just.
I'm just gonna have to say, I'm sorry you feel that way, but it seems to me it's just a you problem.
Exactly, man. And so, there's different patterns with it. Like I said, it's narcissistic traits, and there's different patterns, that people have. And so there's, few different types of narcissists. So shout out again to Dr. Ramani for kind of going through them. So we think of like the number one though is like this is the malignant / toxic narcissist. This is malignant narcissist. This is the person that's like, again, close to a psychopath. They're the ones. These are the ones. Yeah, these are the ones that they know the system. They know how to work the system for real, and to really hurt people.
I said earlier about myself, y'all don't gotta worry about me. I'm the good.
Yeah. This is people. Yeah, and they don't feel guilty about that. Work the system, to their advantage. This would be the worst type of person to work for. If this is your boss, then you're gonna hate your job. So again, toxic person, the malignant, the ones that's a mean person, actually intentionally trying to use the system. They're very smart people, productive, all that, but they're using it. In a way to actually, keep control and hurt people and, get that validation and make themselves still feel important and stuff like that, a narcissist needs. And then the second one is like the most common. This is when we think about like the grandiose narcissist. This is the brag and show off, classic celebrity type. Look how I got 30 cars. I got 10, 20 houses. I'm the best, what I'm saying? Just on some, it can be a caricature after a while. But that's the one we most likely, think of. And we don't feel bad for those people. What I'm saying? Those are the people like, you feel like they went broke or something. They're like, man, well, they was always bragging about such and such, It's not good. Somebody took them down a peg or something, So those are the ones when we think about a narcissist, that's who we most commonly pop in our head. Extra superficial, extra look at me, I got it like that. Y'all ain't on my level type thing. And then, but now here's when it gets sneaky, man. I was like, I never thought about this, but the covert narcissist, you know, this was they gave the analogy. You remember Eeyore from uh, Winnie the Pooh, the donkey? Yep. Oh yeah, just down. He's the woe is me. The covert narcissist is the woe is me. Nobody understands me. You know what? You know what? They just don't get me, man. I'm ahead of my time. I'm really great, but they just don't get me, man. And I feel like, again, it may be diagnosed. People think they're depressed, at first. Some people may think, this person has depression. But no, there's an entitlement underneath there. No, the world doesn't get me. It's going to see, though, man, the world owes me something. And these are the type of people, too. You could try to help this person because you feel bad for them. They look like they're just down, need a little boost. But they'll feel entitled to your help. You're wondering why they're so ungrateful that you helped them. You feel me? So this is another one too. They don't have to be all grandiose. It could be the whole opposite. This is kind of the failure to launch. Keyboard warriors. So that's the covert narcissist because it's still all about them at the end of the day. Super sensitive. You can't critique them at all. They got it all figured out at the end of the day. Just like the grandiose or the malignant narcissist does. So and then the communal narcissist. So again, this is the save the whales lady. This is the one, adopting puppies and whatever, but don't speak to her mama no more. These are the ones that treat everybody else well, giving money to charity, doing it, all of this, looking great from the outside. Look at me, donating stuff, but treat their people closest to them terribly. Those are the maybe they have a show or something. They're a highly successful person, and they're like, oh man, isn't it so great to work for such and such or such a person like that that's so generous? And then that's when the employees look at you like, that's for the cameras, like those, so the communal narcissists, they volunteer, but again, gotta let everybody know about it. Want to be in charge of everything. Look how great I am, because again, that validation, that external, seeking of attention. And then, one last one was like the benign narcissist. So this is one where it's just kind of like they're just out of it. Kind of everything is superficial. Like it'd be like that. Like we just would view it as more immature. Like this is who everybody is at like 15. Just want a car or whatever. Everything's stupid, dumb. You're not deep on anything. Extra shallow. But now all of a sudden you never grow out of that. Now you're an adult like that. So you're still very self-focused. It's all about you. Using people. The ends justify whatever means. You know what I'm saying? So again, they're not malicious. They're not going out there trying to hurt somebody like using their, system to hurt somebody like, a malignant narcissist. But at the same time, you're still going to get the entitlement. You're still going to get the, that validation, that external, and never getting kind of deep with that person. So, and so that's the thing. If you're in relationships with these people, like again, it's easy to think about the boyfriend-girlfriend side of this. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, I had a boyfriend who was a narcissist, But no, now all of a sudden start talking about what about mom and dad? What if you're growing up with a narcissist? You're raised by one. What about your brother and sister? What about your coworkers? What about your supervisor, your boss? The relationships that we have. How many of us have encountered, people that may not be diagnosed with NPD, but have the narcissistic traits where if they went to if they ever went to go seek some help, get their mental health together, they would get diagnosed with it. How many people do we encounter like that just all the time? Or grew up with, and because here's the thing, you can come from a family because, it's a little bit of genes. There's certain genes that, inherit to make you maybe more inclined, to that, but it's really more like 80-20 environment versus, nature versus nurture type thing. 80% of narcissists are made, but it could be introduced because everybody in your family could be very empathetic, loving people, empathetic, non-narcissistic folks, but all of a sudden your sister marries a narcissist, so you got this brother-in-law that comes into the family, and and if that's your first time encountering anybody like that, as an adult, man, it can, those relationships go bad, can go pretty bad. And a lot of people can get hurt. So, yeah, man. So, as a family, like the best thing you could do, as parents, the best advice I heard from the lady said, her and her ex-husband, who's also a psychologist, and so an expert in this field, and they wanted their children to have empathy. So that's so important. If you don't want somebody to be a narcissist, you don't want to raise a narcissist, you got to start from early, to raise your children to be empathetic, and really feel other folks, because that's something you're not going to be able to like. Okay, I'm not gonna say nothing's impossible, but it's gonna be difficult. Just like the same reason it's difficult to start learning a new language at 50, it's gonna be very difficult to instill empathy in somebody, who's good and grown and set in their ways. So that stuff's got to be kind of done early to teach your children empathy. Give your children attention, again, that emotional mirroring. Giving them attention so that they don't seek it from the world and feel like they lack it, and reaching out, from everywhere. And then, you don't want to, again, do the simultaneous, like, overindulge and underindulge. Like, that parent that will show up to every, if your dad's like a former football player, so his son joins football, and so he's there at every game, rooting his son on. Anything his son does on the, football field, he's all over it, but gives him no attention anywhere else. Anything else his son wants to do, doesn't even, like, acknowledge it. See, so, so that's that imbalance, particularly emotionally, if you're not, so then that child grows up performance-based kind of love, feeling like, okay, I have to perform. They have to get validation. People have to like the things that I do, and it has to make, gets them in that pattern, instead of having it for themselves and say, hey, I'm loved, period. I get attention, period. That stuff's learned earlier. And then, to close it out, man, let's keep it real, man. Society is not helping this. It's like, shout out to the title of one of our things, Narcissism, the secondhand smoke of our time, because, again, an achievement-oriented culture, the ends always justifies the mean. You could be a jerk. Again, the clinical definition for jerk is narcissist. You could be that as long as you're winning. As long as you got money, as long as it's working. So you could tell somebody, again, they could be a full-blown, narcissist, but if they got money, if they work, they're popular, all of this stuff is popping for them, they're not changing nothing. It's going to be very difficult when the society is rewarding them, for being superficial. It's rewarding them for not going deeper. It's rewarding them, for that. So just achievement. And so that can be dangerous too, not even on the braggadocious stuff, like you don't want your kids to get into a pattern where it's like, man, who needs kindness or emotions when I can code? I'll always be able to work. I'm smart, so I don't need to concerned about those less than me and But so it's something that, again, we all have to be we have to kind of be aware of. But it was real, eye opening, and I'm glad I did this episode. And we're gonna have to follow up on it, do more, especially on the relationship and how to deal with narcissistic people in your life, because they out there. We deal
Definitely.
with them, man.
Well, man, that was a great, pretty in-depth look into at least introducing us to what narcissism is. So I appreciate that, for gathering the information for us and sharing what you found. I was, for one, intrigued. I mean, obviously, we're going to be coming back on this topic. It's like every other topic that we've discussed.
For sure.
Mental health is an ongoing thing. It's every day. So,
Always.
I guess we get to this point now where we just get to the mental break question of the day.
All right, I was waiting for it. I was like, what you got for me today, man? I know we got heavy on the last take, at the end of the last episode. People that know, we got heavy, so we didn't do it. So I need my mental health break this episode.
So my question is childhood cartoons. Why? What title? Whatever cartoon it is, what's your top three and the reasons for those choices?
Man, you know what? The number one cartoon that I remember just being obsessed when I was a kid was Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
I was Ninja Turtle. I had the plate sets. I had the bowls. Probably went to it for costume. Halloween.
Which one was your turtle?
Oh man, probably. I like Michelangelo. Probably like the nunchucks, man. It was all about the nunchucks.
Cowabunga, dude.
Yeah, Cowabunga, dude. I loved him, man. So Ninja Turtles, I was obsessed with him. And then, actually, to the point, again, fun fact, they asked me, my brother, me and him have an age gap, so he's born when I was 9. So they asked me what I wanted to name my little brother. I told him I wanted to name him after a Ninja Turtle. I wrote down a list, and it was all 4 of the Ninja Turtles' names. So messing around with me, Maurice was gonna be Donatello Pie. That was gonna be. So yeah, man, Ninja Turtles. That was the first. I can't even.
That's
front.
unique though,
Yeah, Donatello Pie, right? They don't know where that came from too. Called him Donnie. The second one, man, I would have to say South Park. Okay. Again, cartoon South as a kid, man. My mom, and what's crazy is my mom introduced me to it. Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh, that episode dropped. This was when I was a kid, man. South Park's been around that long.
Man, I don't remember much from South Park.
Bro, I watched it a ton of that, man. Because, Cartman, too. Eric Cartman. So I love that stuff, man. Definitely not a kid's cartoon. It was for adults, but it was great. So, yeah. And then probably, I guess, man, I loved Rocket Power, really.
Ooh.
When I got a little... Nope. Never mind. Recess. Can't even front. Ooh. Never mind. Recess. I got to give it up to it.
Those are some heavy bangers.
There you go, man. So Ninja Turtles.
Wow.
South Park and Recess.
Wow, Recess.
Came out swinging, bro.
Oh, man. Well,
what you got?
I'm a little bit older than you, so some of the cartoons I name might be, obviously for me, I remember DuckTales.
Oh, yes, DuckTales, yeah.
DuckTales, ooh.
Oh, man. Darkwing Duck.
Theme songs.
What?
Oh, all of those.
Oh, my goodness.
Scrooge McDuck.
Oh, man, yeah. You got me with that one.
What were their names? Huey, Louie?
Something like that, yeah. I got Scrooge.
Yeah, right? Man, that guy made money. He was swimming in it.
He was swimming in it, yep, Scrooge. I can still remember the scene. The scene where he just went diving through the money.
Yep. And he caught some airtime too before he dipped down. Paused and went down. Mm-hmm. Dang. And then, oh man, it's tough. Okay, so we got DuckTales. I'm gonna have to say Ninja Turtles as well.
Ninja Turtles. I'm telling you, Heroes in the Half Shell, Turtle Power.
Yes. The video games, everything, the action figures,
and that Nintendo, the NES video game of Ninja Turtles was hard, bro. On Lois and Keys, that was a hard game, bro. I probably still couldn't beat that.
And it was and Ninja Turtles. Speaking of which, my favorite Ninja Turtles movie was Part 2. Sequel that we was.
Oh yeah, because again, the movies, man, they had it on lock.
Yep. And then my final cartoon in my childhood that I remember forever is Tom and Jerry.
Oh, Tom and Jerry. You know what? That's true. That's probably that's them and Mickey Mouse, man.
They didn't even talk.
Tom and Jerry, bro.
They were just chasing each
other. You know what? Yeah, you
win
on that one. You know what? Tom and Jerry probably. If that comes on today,
the most original beef ever.
For real.
The original beef, man. Oh
man. Awesome, man. No, that was awesome, man. Appreciate that. Mental break right there. I'm probably gonna watch some cartoons, man. See if South Park on.
I know, right? I mean, that's all I got for this week, man. Mm-hmm. You got anything else you want to say?
No, man. Thanks y'all for hanging with us for another episode. Jordan 23. We keeping it trucking right along, and we got some special guests coming up soon. We have a returning guest, our guy hypnotherapist Rupert Messick. He's gonna be joining us on the podcast real soon here. So look out for that episode. Another guest. Man, we got things coming, people. So
we got some updates and a little new segment possibly.
You feel me? We got things coming, man. Second half of the year, it's already June, so we halfway there, folks. Looking to make the second half better than the first. So until next time, peace.